Welcome back to Daiwa On Demand. Today we're taking a look at one of the most sought after reels this year, the new Steez SV. Awesome, top of the line, top tier reel. Awesome features packed into this, so let's get into it. First and foremost, you're going to recognize a new, more compact design housing on the reel, more palmable. It's actually a magnesium construction housing. Moving on to the internals, this reel is going to feature the full lineup of our Hyperdrive system. The Hyperdrive system consists of 4 unique features. Firstly, we'll take a look at the hyper-armed housing. We'll take a look at the Hyper Double support, Hyperdrive gearing, and then the Hyperdrive clutch. So firstly, with the hyper-armed housing, that is the actual housing that the reel is constructed of. It's designed with that hyper-armed housing to be a more rigid, more durable construction, allowing for smoother gear transition, smoother gear rotation, just an overall more durable housing on the reel. Next up, Hyper Double support. So Hyper Double support is a system where we've integrated 2 bearings on either side of the pinion gear. So that's going to keep that pinion gear stable within the housing of the reel, but also allow it to rotate very smoothly and stay in constant contact with the drive gear. Now we're talking hyperdrive gear. So hyperdrive gear is a unique cut of the actual gear teeth that allows for 3 points of contact between the G1 Duralumin drive gear and the pinion gear. So again, those 3 points of contact allow for a buttery smooth rotation, but also with those 3 points of contact, we're spreading the pressure out. So when you're fighting a fish, you're not putting as much pressure onto those gears, allowing for more durable gearing. Lastly, we're talking about the Hyper Tough clutch. So the Hyper Tough clutch is the actual engagement of the free spool and re-engagement of the drive. Very smooth, but also very strong transition there. Moving on to the SV part of the Steez SV, we're talking about SV Boost, not the traditional SV, the SV Boost system. The Boost system consists of a 3-stage inductor system throughout the cast. So basically what happens is on the initial outset of your cast, the first stage engages the full field of the magnetic field within the MagForce system. Once the MagForce system stabilizes the spool, the inductor on the SV transitions slightly away from that magnetic field. So you're still getting a little bit of control from that magnetic field, but not any of the drag from it. That's going to allow for a longer distance cast while also being a very controlled cast. The last stage of the system, the inductor moves completely away from that magnetic field, allowing you to get as much distance as possible with that cast. Other awesome features on the reel are going to be a clicking drag system, so you'll be able to hear that right up there. Just feels good in the hand, a good alert for when you are letting line out to let that fish go ahead and take that drag, prevent you from tearing the hook out or something along those lines. Moving on, we're going to take a look at the T-Wing line guide. Now some of you might already be familiar with the T-Wing line guide, but we'll go ahead and run through it a little bit better. So the T-Wing line guide is a dynamic line guide aperture. So you can see when you're engaged in rotation and bringing in line, that narrow aperture allows for a nice even line lay onto the spool itself. When you go ahead and take a cast, that aperture folds over and opens up a much larger opening. That's going to decrease friction on your line, allowing for a more smooth rotation and free spool, which is going to translate to a longer distance and more controlled cast. Now what's cool about the Steez SV model is that we've actually improved upon the original design. We've actually added an extra degree of angle, which is going to allow for a longer distance and more controlled cast as well. Last feature we'll take a look at on the reel is something that might be a little bit confusing to some of you guys out there, and that's going to be this very unique zero adjuster cast control knob. So a zero adjuster, as the name implies, requires zero adjustment. This cap is designed to control the spacing of the spool within the housing of the reel. You do not need to make any adjustments to that zero adjuster, nor would you really be able to with how far recessed it is inside of the housing. It's supposed to be that way. Any adjustments that you'll make for your lure weights, wind conditions, non-aerodynamic baits, etc., you'll make all of those adjustments solely with the use of the MagForce brake dial on the palm side of the reel. So that's how you'll actually adjust for the lure weights, whereas other times you might be inclined to make adjustments on the zero adjuster. Don't do it. Just use the magnetic braking system. Steez SV is going to be available in 2 gear ratios, a 7.8 to 1 and an 8.5 to 1 high-speed gear ratio, coming in at 5.6 very light ounces. Last thing we want to mention about the Steez SV models is they do come with an incredible Steez Executive Service Plan. That is going to include 5-year warranty as well as 5 years of free clean and lubrication. We do encourage you guys to maintain these elite performer reels. You want them to have that elite performance. Please send them in to us. Let's get them maintained and have them last you a long time. For more information, come check them out at the Daiwa website, daiwa.us.